is going to have to shoot it before the shot clock runs out.
Oh, my. Farouk Banesh at three.
Today's lesson, 6.3, covers regions in the United States. The United States is divided into 4 different regions: the Northeast, the Midwest, the South, and the West. These regions are perceptual regions. If you remember way back to the beginning of the year, perceptual regions are regions in which people perceive or see the characteristics of the region in the same way. However, the set of characteristics may not be precisely the same for all people. This was the region theme, and with every theme we had one overlying question, and the one for this theme was how are places similar or different? The first region we're going to look at today is the Northeast. The Northeast covers 5% of the nation's land area, but 20% of the population resides in this area. One section of the Northeast is New England. New England is a sub-region of the Northeast that includes Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and Connecticut. Pennsylvania, New York, and New Jersey make up the Middle Atlantic states. We can see that this is a perceptual region because if you look in your book, it says that sometimes Maryland and Delaware are included in the Middle Atlantic states, but the book puts them in the South. So you can see how one place disagrees with another about what should make up the Middle Atlantic states, and we call that a perceptual region. The Northeast is often referred to as America's Gateway because it is where the first colonies were established in America. Industry was what fueled these areas in our past, but since then many of them have been abandoned, many of the industries. So now we call this the Rust Belt because the industries eventually rust, and that's why we call it the Rust Belt. The Northeast is also home to our nation's first megalopolis. A megalopolis is a region in which several large cities and surrounding areas grow together. The megalopolis in the Northeast stretches all the way from Boston to Washington, D.C., which makes up 500 miles of highway and urbanized areas. This area alone contains 1/6 of the United States population. The next region we're going to look at is the Midwest. The Midwest is made up of 12 states: North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Kansas, Missouri, Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, and Ohio. We call these states America's heartland because it is located in the center of the United States. Because of the great soil, nice climate, and annual rainfall, we also call this area the nation's breadbasket because of the agriculture that is produced. Like I said in Lesson 6.1, the United States is rapidly converting to service industries, and the Midwest is no different. Today we can see a decrease in the number of farms, with people moving towards those service industries. The third region we're going to discuss is the South. The South covers 1/4 of the nation's land area and houses 1/3 of the population. We can look at the South in 2 different viewpoints: the Old South and the New South. The Old South, like the Northeast, was also the site for many early explorers. Virginia was the first colony in the United States, and that is technically located in the South. Agriculture dominated the Old South, especially cotton, tobacco, fruit, peanuts, and rice. Although many of those items are still grown in the South, there has been a dramatic change in lifestyle. The South has since industrialized, and we can see petroleum, steel, chemicals, food processing, textiles, and electronics as major industries in the New South today. There are also many metropolitan areas in the South. A metropolitan area is a large city with nearby suburbs and towns that surround that city. There's some great examples of metropolitan areas in the South, such as Atlanta, Miami, Tampa, Fort Worth, and Dallas, Texas. The last subregion that we're going to look at in this lesson is the West. The West contains 13 states, Washington, Oregon, California, Nevada, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, Utah, Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, Hawaii, and Alaska. These states cover half of our nation's land, but only 1/5 of the population resides in these areas. Although there is a low population, it is currently the most rapidly growing region in our country. Los Angeles is one of the cities in this region, and that is the second biggest population in all of the United States.